Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today we have some big Gems of War news on Guild Wars, crafting, dungeons, and basically everything that's going to be coming in the next patch on PC and mobile that console will be getting at a later time. We still don't know exactly when this update is coming, but we do actually know some specifics now. So let's just get into reading it, because honestly I haven't fully read it yet either, because it is a lot of text. Hello everyone! I haven't had much time to stop by the forums lately, as we've been racing towards the Uni update to Gems of War on iOS and Android. Yeah, the mobile version should be called up soon to PC, along with changes to Guild Wars and crafting coming in the 3.1 update, which is the next update, likely within the next month or two. They still haven't given a time yet. So today I want to do two things: share some of the minor changes we're making to Guild Wars next week on all platforms. Yes, Guild Wars is coming back next week across all platforms when it starts back up, and give you a bit of a taste for a few things that are coming soon, including a first look at the crafting menu, so we finally get to see what crafting is. Guild Wars, why did we even take it offline? Good question. It was potentially a silly thing to do, since Guild Wars has really been moving the needle in some key areas. More players were definitely playing more often. In fact, I think almost every single KPI, what does KPI stand for, about the game was doing better than a pre-Guild Wars. However, we still want to make the game the best it can be, and so, given some of the feedback we've received, we thought we'd give it a 2-week rest while we figured out ways to improve it some more. I didn't mind a 2-week rest. So, what are they changing? When is it back? Next week. So that is Monday at 3 AM Eastern Standard Time, or whatever your equivalent is. Most of you probably already know by now when the Monday reset is. Actually, for some time zones, it isn't even on a Monday. I think it's like Sunday night, and some might even be like Tuesday very morning. I'm not quite sure. But yeah. What is changing when it comes back? We're keeping it simple for now, just so we don't have to do a client update, which means console, PC, and mobile can all get the same update together. We're going to change the following 3 things. All battles are now worth 300 points, not 100 to 500, so basically every battle is just as important. Before, the earlier battles weren't as important, and the later battles were extremely important, and of course, because of this point system that was done previously, if you lost even once, you lost a great majority of your points, because at one point it was worth like, what, 600, 750, I forget exactly, and then before they brought it down, it was worth 500 points, as it mentions there. Now every single battle is only going to be worth 300 points, so every battle is equally as important. The reason for this will become clearer below. We're altering the scoring system from its current form. Yeah, there's basically only 2 things that it checked before, which was, do you use the color, and did you end with 4 troops? From its current form, where you gain points for winning, using colored troops, and not losing allies to something that takes a number of other things into account. We're reducing the weekly troop type bonuses from 25% to 10%. That's actually quite huge. Probably needed. This is gonna be interesting how that pans out. I guess it doesn't really matter too much, because the game didn't used to have any bonuses, though any troop that happens to have a 20% bonus unfortunately won't be as fun and broken as it used to be, but for balance sake, that is definitely much appreciated. So now the highest bonus any troop can ever get on a given week will be 20%. So as far as the 2 troops that they give a 10% bonus in a given week is almost irrelevant now. 10% on a single troop is nearly nothing. 20% a little bit more so, but still relatively small, to the point that most weeks you won't really have to build around whatever the bonus is, which is good, because before it was almost mandatory on some weeks, particularly weeks where there was overpowered 4 times combos of 50%, where if you did not have all of those troops, you basically were either out of luck or being completely crushed by those 4 troops. So that will make that happen a lot less. How did we arrive at these? Hours of discussion, good-natured arguing and looking at the data and all the info everyone here on the forums has provided in the Guild War thread. Details on these changes are below. Change number 3, reducing weekly troop bonuses. I'll start with the last one first, as it's simple to explain. 25% bonuses can just push good troops into being annoying, very much so. That's not cool, and it's particularly disheartening for mid-game players sometimes because they don't have everything, or they might be missing a key troop to make it work. I think as well as making endgame seem a bit stale. Well, sometimes, because it would just be the same team every single time. It's normally good when there's like a nice variety of 25%, because that would generally make it so you would use some other stuff while not completely breaking the game. But basically 20% will be the same now if they happen to double bonus those, so it's not really going to be much different than that, so it's going to work out quite well. Did I miss anything? We want to keep the bonuses as their fun and help convince a lot of players to try new things. Yes, because if something is 28% and you're using a troop that's not 20%, you might as well try it a 20% one if you haven't before. But we're going to try a reduction from 25% to 10%, so they're not quite as punishing to face. Sounds good. Change number 2. Why did it go from 3 to 2? Altering the scoring system. Now, the new scoring calculation. You'll all want to know the exact details, I'm sure. Yes, we do. We will break it to the absolute max that we can do. Max efficiency. I'm not going to give you the exact details. No! So whoever figures out how to break it will then just be the leaderboard now. Since we'll tweak it, I'm certain. Oh, okay. So they're going to tweak it. Well, they better say what the actual one is once they decide. But I am going to describe all the parts for you. Colored score bonuses will remain the same, by the way. This is somewhat a little bad, mainly because it is really hard for a new guild to work with how the colored currently work. Because you have to have a level 100, all 6 of your statues, basically to have any chance of placing in number 1 bracket. Particularly, I think the top 3 brackets, where all the rewards are, unless they changed it. You basically need to have 50% on all of your guild statues. And to do this, you need all your guild statues at level 100. There's currently no possible way to rush getting to level 100. I forget the exact amount of time, but I believe it takes anywhere from, assuming you do every single task every single week, it takes around, I think, 6 months, I want to say. 5 to 8, somewhere around that general ballpark. So newer guilds that might be around for a few weeks but are still like really good and well established would not be able to compete with, even if they were outperforming other guilds, they would not be able to compete as well with people who have a higher bonus. So that's a little bit unfortunate that they're keeping it exactly the same. As far as late game, that doesn't affect us at all if they keep it exactly the same, but I can definitely see that affecting mid game quite a bit. Stepping back for a moment, let's look at the current calculation. You like simple things, simple formulae, simple designs, simple visuals. You get the idea. Simple rules are generally harder to exploit. We'll still exploit them, and more intuitive to grasp. So I use them whenever I can. The problem is, so why don't you do this to PvP? Please rework the PvP rating system. The rating system and the gold that you get from it. I don't think they are, but make it simpler. The problem is that the current scoring system is a simple thing that had a simple complication later on top of it, like having to use a summon literally every single time if you wanted max score, for a good reason, but still, that single complication is where the problem lies. So, why did we add the single complication? It goes something like this. We'd like a simple system to represent your victory. However, at the top tier, yes, just giving points for a win would leave too many people tied on points at the end of the week. Yes, that has happened. There was even one week when the top 3 in the entire game were within 5,000 points of each other, I believe. So yeah, that happens sometimes. However, the top tier, just giving, wait, where was I? No, I lost track of where I was. Leave too many tied points at the end of the week. You get a few less points for each troop you lose. Wait. Yeah, okay, that's what the previous one. That one extra roll tells our best players, hey, if you want to maximize your results, you should use the most efficient methods of killing the enemy troops and making sure you are not killed. Yes, which means just kill them all out, get your summons, and then go from there. So Devourers and Summons enter the meta for defense and offensive, respectively. There was a clear, optimal strategy, and we can't blame players for following it. Yes. Now, since we can't simplify the rule, we only really have one option left, and that is to add some more, preferably, orthogonal words, rules, based on what we observe good players doing. And by orthogonal rule, I mean rules that are mostly independent of each other. Okay, thank you for literally explaining that after. He can read my mind. He's like, wait, what? And then he's like, oh, I'll go explain what I just said. The rules we've chosen are based around 4 facts. Good players lose less troops. That's the one we already have. Good players win their game in less moves. Oh, so that's going to be a factor now. Good players have far higher mana efficiency. No, they didn't just do this. They're gonna make explosions the meta again. Their mana collected in proportion to... Though I was kind of already using mana generators. Their mana collected in proportion to their enemies' mana is far higher. No. Really? Well, explosions meta again. Herdmaster, Gorgolfa, Dragon Soul, Karnax on occasion, though he does a lot less mana. Though that's only one of the factors, and good players have far higher damage efficiency. Yep, it's going to be Exploders, particularly Dragon Soul. Dragon Soul has such ridiculously... Okay. No! They might nerf Dragon Soul now. Because of Guild Wars. I hope they don't. But Dragon Soul has ridiculous efficiency in literally everything they just mentioned. As far as the first point, lose less troops. Dragon Soul is extremely tanky. They might be buffing Mana Drain next patch too. I mean, Mana Shield to have immune to Mana Drain, though that has not been confirmed. That was just something that they were talking about at one point. But it has Huge, which makes it gain more HP, which means less chance of it dying, plus has a 25% chance to revive itself, which is additional chance of it not dying. So it covers that, partially. Good players win games in less moves. Dragon Soul, I do have to say, does not win the game in less moves. But for these other two, good players have higher mana efficiency. Dragon Soul has very high mana efficiency, not the highest, but really decent. But what makes it better is good players have higher, far higher damage efficiency, which Dragon Soul at minimum 44 damage per turn, plus it's gaining mana efficiency at the exact same time. Something else that might also get used quite a bit for this is possibly a Hellcat, because that has good mana efficiency while still doing damage as well. Not quite sure how important both of those factors will be, but now they are both factors, and of course you still have the factor of not losing any troops, which will be a little bit annoying, because if you try going for some of the other efficiencies, you're going to probably lose one troop, particularly if you don't use a summoner, and now it'll likely be a lot less efficient to use a summoner, mainly because you wouldn't really be able to utilize it that much. It really depends what the penalty is for losing a troop. The only one that might still be used on occasion is any kind of summoner that does do some mana generation and can maybe save your turn as well. Maybe something like that. Maybe something like a Sir Gawain or the Corrupt Sorceress or something like that may still be somewhat viable, but we'll have to see. And did I even read this last point? Good players far higher damage efficiency, i.e. their damage dealt in proportion to their opponent's damage at far higher. Now, we have 4 things contributing to score in such a way that each push a different type of troop into the meta. Do we go for cheap kills, slow games, large AoE damage outputs? Probably large AoE damage outputs with mana generation, I would assume would be the most efficient, particularly ones that gain extra turns, though by this phrasing, I don't know if the enemy getting turns gives you less points, or if you keep extra turning, if that only counts as 1 turn. Or if it counts as 2 turns if the enemy gets a turn. Like, if you get a turn, then the enemy, then you, does that count as 3 total turns? Or does you getting 2 extra turns in a row count as 2 turns? Or does that only count as 1 turn? We still don't really know. That's the main thing that's somewhat confusing in what they just mentioned. Hopefully it counts every single turn, but in which case, if they were to do that, everyone's just going to use infinite loop teams. Though there isn't a single infinite loop team that can be made out of only one color, except for Double Giant Spider, Double Kraken. I believe that is the only current one, because most of the bases use something like a Giant Spider Green Seer or an Alchemist Hellcat, both of which can only maximize at 3 colors, not at 4. You could always go all goblins, but that's not as efficient, particularly in late game. Early on in the game, you could probably get away with it. Anyways, where was I? Do we go over or board control? Our hope is that we the relative balance of these things and people's varying experience with them cause a bit of variety to appear in the end game meta for Guild Wars. Sounds good. We will still break it like crazy though once we realize what works. Change number 1. What is this numbering system? Oh, it went from 3 to 1. Okay, that's odd. Change number 1. Battles are now all worth 300 points. Didn't I read this earlier? Yeah. Didn't you mention this earlier? But okay. There is one inherent problem with using moves, mana efficiency and damage efficiency for scoring, though. It can be affected by a little bit of luck. A very unlucky game could affect your score, and thus the final part of this prize, I know that word, I just can't say it. Homogenizing all the base scores to 300. So an unlucky Paragon battle does not ruin your daily points disproportionately. The luck does even out in long term, and we've noticed players do converge on actual efficiency numbers as you look across multiple gameplay sessions. What is changing in the future for Guild Wars? We've identified a few areas to change that will require a client update. This will not be in 3.1. No, I guess that doesn't matter too much. They're already changing it some. We've got quite enough other stuff going into that one without the extra work. I know we haven't even gotten into all the other juicy stuff yet. Without all the extra work, we may have a 3.1 shortly after 3.15 after the 3.1. That'd be nice. Launches to add these. This is still in discussion. The first thing is something you all talked about and seemed... Oh, I already saw the 27. I know exactly what this is. Talked about and seemed in agreement on. Amazingly, no, not everyone was in agreement of it. Not the extremely hardcore, though I was in agreement of it. And it was only counting the top 27 players for score. This is really good because now we'll be able to give a break to players who may need to go on vacation. Now, if you have someone who might be slacking on one given week, you don't have to worry about them as much. This does slightly discredit the score of extremely over-the-top, really well-organized, do Guild Wars every day kind of guilds, but this was something that needed because 99% of the game is not guilds like that. So now you'll be able to basically bench 3 players from your guild or just simply make it mandatory, and if some people happen to be doing a little bit less on that given week, then it won't matter as much. As long as everyone isn't like slightly slacking because of this, you do have to probably keep your entire guild like, hey, you still need to try Guild Wars as hard as you possibly can. But if some person happens to have to go on vacation, or you happen to have to recruit a player or 2 on a given week, it won't completely cripple your guild for that week. Because before, too, especially with how you can't have new recruits come into Guild Wars, basically, if you lost a person from Tuesday to Sunday at any point within that mark, you basically were not able to get the max amount of points that you possibly could in a certain Guild Wars, particularly if they left on like Tuesday. Well, even if you recruited someone, they wouldn't be able to play. So you were 29 out of 30 members, even if you were 30 out of 30, and you had nothing that you could do about it. So this is definitely very well. I'm glad they did 27 as well instead of 25. 25 was about probably as low as they could possibly go. That was one of the things that was on it. But 27 I think is a good number. It's not so excessively high that people who are extremely competitive guilds feel like they're being crippled, and it's not so low that you can basically just bench half your guild, which definitely would have been too much. But 27 I think is a really nice number for that, and I'm glad they went with that. We're quite willing to experiment with that, but it will require a client update. Oh wait, so it's not coming next patch? I should have kept reading. Well, it is something that they are going to be trying then, though based on what they just said, it's not coming in the Monday, unfortunately. No! Oh well. Well, we are getting it And they are probably going to start at the 27 number. But it's not coming on Monday. Never mind, my bad. The next one is the big one, though, and actually has me quite excited. It's the idea of a defense menu, where you can properly set up your defenses. Thank you, because the previous way was really bad. The reason we'd like to go to a defense menu is that you think... I hate that I do that now because of chat. I always reverse the I and the U now. Is that I think we could do something a little sneaky and different, and that is giving a bonus to your weekly points for how many different troops you use in defend teams. Okay, now that I like. So essentially, they're going to reward you for using not the same defend 6 times. So basically, if you build a different defend team for all 6 days, you will earn more points. Oh, cool. This is kind of my idea, except not as punishing. For example, use all 24 troops as different. For example, use all 24 troops as different, and you get the maximum multiplier. You could still use the same team every day, but your multiplier would be small, since you would have only used 4 troops for the week. The system would require your defenses locked in on day 1. Okay, so that's a bit differently, because before you were able to basically change your team at any point. Like if you were decided like midway through a Wednesday, you were finding that on a yellow day, oh, my yellow defend is doing awful. It has won 0 times, though everyone has really high win rate in Guild Wars, but still, you could maybe change it up and go from there midday. But yeah, you will have to lock them in on day 1, which I don't really mind. That was something that most people kind of did anyways. Some people might forget now, so we'll have to remember everyone in the guild to go and do that. But yeah, I don't know if this is coming in next patch or if it's coming in later, but yeah, using 24 different troops on defense, I am very, very, very much in favor of this, to make sure that people do not just spam the same ones. And this isn't as punishing to newer players either, because it's only for slightly extra points. It's not like your livelihood depends on you using 24 different troops. But obviously, everyone who can use 24 different troops will now use 24 different troops, so you will not face the same team 150 billion times in a row. So that is great. Where was I? As far as reading forward, you could still put this system would require your defense lock-in on day 1, but we have a few more logistical issues to figure out before we begin any work on it. Okay, so that's all. This is coming later then, so you will not have to use 24 troops yet, and you will not be able to bench 3 players yet. It is something they will be adding, but it's not coming. I am very in favor of both of those. And finally, other stuff. Now, here's the really interesting stuff. I probably should have just started with this, because this is the really, really juicy stuff. Last thing today is that I just wanted to give you all a heads up about a few things coming soon, with pictures, though not official pictures yet. These are just some markups as far as what they're likely going to be doing. First one is a graphic refresh to the user interface. You're starting with this one because you'll see it in the Soulforge and dungeon screenshots below. Yes, now we also have dungeons. I actually already read most of that. But yeah, Soulforge we already knew of. This is the crafting system. Though the dungeoning system, well, I'll go over what that is once we head down there. Dungeon screenshots below. Basically, Gems is showing its age a little bit. And yeah, it's still using most of the same graphics from before, though they have updated some of them. And we'd like to give, though some of these, some of the graphics they're actually using in the game are literally just pulled from Puzzle Quest 1 and 2. Particularly Puzzle Quest 2. There's some images that are exactly the same, which is kind of funny. Green Slime's image and the fists that they use for the score currently are the 2 most notable ones I know of, because that fist was used everywhere in Puzzle Quest 2. It's actually one of the gem types, and Green Slime is literally the exact same troop art as one of them in Puzzle Quest 2. The main developer, Surian, or whatever his actual name is, I forget his actual name off the top of my head, also did the Puzzle Quests. For any of you that don't know, basically Gems is showing its age a bit, and we'd like to give it a slick new update to look like a game from 2017. Though in doing so, it looks like they made it look somewhat more mobile-ish, which I don't really care too much about. It is obviously cross-platform. to mobile, but I know some PC players will probably complain to no end about that. Not anyone who normally like plays, but you know, newer players coming into the game, it's like, oh, this is a mobile port or something like that. But yeah, it does look very mobile-ish. I can't actually see those, but it does look very, very mobile-ish how they made it. Let's see, this is quite a big change, and is still a work in progress, so don't judge too harshly, so I won't, but that will happen. I can confirm it. Full disclosure, this is a mock-up. Yeah, I already said that earlier. This is a mock-up and not the actual game. It's also not quite final yet. Apart from Soulforge and dungeon menus, you won't be seeing this new UI until 3.2. Okay, well, that's a while then until we see that. But the next is the crafting system, which I'm actually looking more forward to probably than the dungeoning system, but the dungeoning system does seem pretty cool. Here is a first screenshot of crafting. You're not going to go into any details on crafting today. More coming on this later. Well, it looks like I'll have another video to do soon. But just wanted to give you a teaser for the various bits of crafting. Crafting needs a new resource called jewels. We did know a while ago that they were adding a new resource. Now we know what that is. Those are jewels, not to be confused with gems, because they are not gems. They are jewels. Hey, Bejewel clone. And jewels come from the next item down. Oh yeah. And here is the screenshot. So looks like red weapons, red summoning stones, red jewels, celestial trait stones. Oh, they are going to be using trait stones with it as well. Interesting. So I guess you have to level up your... let's see. There's level, jewels, trait stones, weapons, troops, and other. So level... looks like it gives you more recipes as far as what you can unlock. This appears to unlock by two means. You can either use the new resource of jewels, or you can just get kills. And there are a lot of ways in the game to farm up ridiculous amounts of kills, so depending on how easy it is to obtain jewels, it might just be more efficient to grind out Explore with some kind of ridiculously quick Explore team, or PvP with some kind of quick team, or just do challenges with an ultra quick team and win within like 20 seconds or something on 4x speed. Jewels, this menu is probably to buy jewels. Trade stones, I'm not quite sure what that might be used for. I'm not quite sure what either of those would be. Weapons, you'd likely be able to craft weapons. Troops, you'd likely be able to craft troops. Other, who knows, but there we go. We'll have to see what that is. Full disclosure, yes, we do know that things are going to be changing. I'm not going to bother reading that. The dungeon system. Now, here's probably the most interesting one, though the crafting system has been needed for ages now. But every day has a different dungeon, and each dungeon has 3 wicked bosses to fight. For beating them, you get, you guessed it, jewels. Each day's dungeon is themed around a different element, except for Sunday. It's special. Well, we'll figure out how special that is, and allows you to win jewels of the appropriate color. Simple. Okay, sounds straightforward. So basically more challenging fights. Like right here, we can see a level 40 Shegra. Does it actually get more stats like a level 40? That'd be interesting. But it creates more red gems than a regular Shegra on top of that as well. And we can see that the red jewels you probably get on a red day, and the other 2 jewels are probably generic ones. Neither of these are actually souls. I believe all 3 of them are jewels of different variations. And as they mentioned, I believe I read that, yeah, it is based on the color day. This day is a Dungeon of Fire, so you get red, red, and red jewels for all 3 of them. Not quite sure what that 10% bonus is on them. I noticed there's a 10% there and there. Who knows what that is. And win different jewels every day. Jewels are used in the Soulforge to craft troops, weapons. Oh, well, that just confirms that. It can also be used to create trait stones. So if you are finding your grind to be too hard, oh great, they added a more fun and interesting way to finally farm trait stones. So though I don't think anyone would actually be using it for that, you'd probably be using it for troops and the weapons that you don't have for completionists. But you technically could now farm trait stones by doing dungeons every single day, which is nice because the current way of farming trait stones, there's basically 2 ways. The more efficient way is to save all of your glory, never spend it on glory keys, and only buy the 300 and 400 glory packs every single week, and just stock up that way on every trait stone that you ever need, and just hope that the trait stone you eventually need comes through that drop table. And the other way is a little bit boring after a while, and that is to spam Explore over and over and over and over again, because there's no better way currently in the entire game to farm a specific trait stone than to spam out Explore. But it looks like trait stones will now be craftable out of jewels. So you can now convert any excess jewels that you may have into some trait stones. How much they will cost, we do not know. How much you'll be able to grind from doing dungeons every single day, we do not know. But if you wanted to use it on trait stones instead of troops or weapons, you now can. Though I'm pretty sure most people will be using it on troops or weapons. Maybe you'd use it on trait stones initially to get yourself your dream team that you want. But after that, you'd probably just go all in on troops and weapons. More so on troops, because weapons, not so much. Weapons, people would only do probably to be completionists. And yeah, that's everything for the spoilers that we currently have. Wait, win different jewels. Oh no, I already read all that. But that is everything that we currently know. Yeah, I'll put this full thing in the description. I read the main majority of it, but for anyone that might want to make any comments or anything, there's 42 comments. Pretty sure a lot more comments are going to be coming here, but very, very, very interesting. I am looking forward to absolutely all of this. Don't really have any negatives that I can really think of for the most part. Also, I didn't even see that. There's also a reward thingy now, too. It shows you the gold glory trophy and then the PvP score breakdown all in the little thing. Also, rivals got bonus. They used to only be 2, now they're 4. So that's an interesting change. I wonder if they fixed the glitch with Revenge, because Revenge, I believe at the moment, I don't even know if it's a glitch or intended, gives you 2 times as much gold when you win, which is obviously somewhat broken whenever you can just keep doing Revenges. But yeah, that is everything that we currently know. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I might not have the answer to them because that's basically all the information we currently have, except unless Surian mentioned something below, which could have happened. I'm not quite sure if he did. If I just scroll through real quick, pretty sure he hasn't made any additional. Oh, he might have. Okay, well, let's see. It's called the Soulforge for a reason, because it requires souls. Let's see. Did Surian say anything else of importance before we end out real quick? Oh, that's everything. Okay, so yep, that basically wraps up for this video. I will keep you guys in touch whenever we get any more information about all of this. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.